Hello everyone and welcome to today's discussion. Today we'll be talking about the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the basic steps involved for you to bag the Canada Express entry permanent residence at your very next attempt, even if it's your very first attempt. So basically the whole process is divided into, let's say, 10 basic steps. First, you have to check your eligibility, then you find your National Occupation Classification, that's the NOC. Then you estimate your CRS scores, or if you've done some pro steps like taking your language test, then you have to calculate the actual CRS score to know if you should bother going ahead. And if you believe you have enough score to take this on, then the next step will be to get your ECA done. The ECA is your Education Credential Assessment. Then you take the language test for those that haven't taken the language test. That's basically IELTS and the likes. Then after you get your results, you create an express entry profile. Then we'll talk about what you do when you eventually get an invitation to apply, that's an ITA. Then we'll be talking about the documents checklist, the various documents you would have to submit and when and where to submit them. After that, we'll discuss what it would cost you in terms of finance to start and complete the whole process. Now, you need to know that some of these payments that you'll be making are refundable. So I would highlight the refundable ones and the non-refundable ones so you know what you're getting into even before you start. Let's get into it. Okay, so now let's get into it. As I stated earlier, the first step is to check if you're eligible for the Canada Express Entry Program. To check your eligibility, you can either go to their website or you click on this link here, this Federal Skilled Worker here. I took out time to embed links into most pages in this document, and don't worry, you'll be getting the document. Here's what you'd find on that page. To be eligible, you need to score 67 points out of the 100 points up for grabs in this criteria. So here's what you need to know. You get the points written here against the degrees you have. So let's assume you're a master's degree holder, you'd get 23 points for this. Let's say you're a bachelor's degree holder, you'd get, that's a post-secondary credential of at least 3 years, so you're eligible to 21 points in this criteria. If you have HND, I know to get your HND you need to have gone through OND first. So that means you've done at least 2 post-secondary school certificate programs. So that means you're eligible for 22 points in this criteria. So whatever you score here, you jot it down somewhere. Let's assume in this case that you're a bachelor's degree holder or a BA holder. You have 21 points. You move on to the next criteria, which is experience. So your work experience in this case matters. So let's assume you have a work experience of, let's say, 3 years. That's 11 points. Remember, you got 21 points from the first criteria, for the first criterion rather. You got 11. You're getting 11 here because you have 2 to 3 years work experience. Add it to the 21 you got in the first one. That should be 32 points now. Then you move on to age. Let's assume you are between 18 and 35. That's 12 points. Add it to the points you got above. And there's a chance that you would not have written your language test now. So let's play safe and just assume you got a low score of CLB 7. So that's 4444. That's 16 points. Remember, anything below CLB 7 in the Federal Skilled Worker Program is not eligible. So let's assume you got CLB 7. That's 4444. That's 16 points. You add it to what you got above. Then you come over to adaptability. You have is your spouse or partner going with you? Are they going to be taking the language test? If yes, and they score above CLB 4, they get 5 points. You add it to the points, whatever your sum total above is. You go through these different programs, these different points listed here, and if you get any points from here, you add it to what you score above. Do you have arranged employment in Canada? If yes, you have a maximum of 10 points. Then whatever you score, sum it all together, you should get at least 67 points out of 100. And once you score 67, that automatically means you are eligible to start. You're eligible to start the application. It doesn't mean you will get it. It doesn't mean there's a guarantee that you will be successful. It just means that you are now eligible to start. When that is done, you move on to the National Occupation Classification, as the NOC. So again, like in the first chapter, I took the stress of finding and embedding links so things are easier for you. So basically, what you need to understand is that whatever you studied, whatever discipline you studied in school, whatever you do for a living, whatever job experience you have, basically whatever you do can be classified into different occupation classifications. There's the skill type 0, there's the skill type A, there's the skill type B, there's C and D. So for skill type 0, those are occupations related to management, such as factory managers, resort managers, and office managers. For skill type A, they are the professional occupations that usually need a university degree, like the examples I gave here: the chemists, the veterinarians, the pharmacists, the engineers, and whatnot. Then there's the skill level B, the technical occupations that usually require a college diploma or apprentice training, such as administrative assistants, firefighters, photographers, and the likes. The skill type C are the intermediate occupations that usually need high school diploma, such as the truck drivers, the travel guys, the receptionists. Then there's the skill type D. Those are labor occupations that usually require only training, such as dry cleaners, the kitchen helpers, the cleaners, the laundryman. Those are classified under the skill type D. Now, for the federal skilled worker, not all NOCs are eligible. To be eligible for the federal skilled worker program, you have your occupation or your discipline has to fall under skill type 0, skill type A, or skill type B. Remember, skill type 0 are the managerial jobs, the skill type A are the professional jobs, and the skill type B are the technical jobs. For more clarification, you can click on this link here that says website search for the NOC job code. So to know more about your NOC and what category your job description falls under, you can click on the link here and it will take you straight to a page that gives details. You can then search for your discipline. Again, remember, only skill types 0, A, and B are eligible for the federal skilled worker program. If you fall under skill types C and D, there are other programs that you might be eligible for, just not the federal skilled worker program. The next step is to calculate your CRS score. Now, calculating your CRS score, for now, I like to advise people to estimate the CRS score before going ahead to start the process. Why I like to get people to estimate their CRS score is so they have an idea of where it is they are against what the current trend of cutoff mark is at. For instance, as at today that I'm recording this now in April 2020, and I can tell you that the cutoff mark now for the federal skilled worker program hovers around 470, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but over the past few months the draws have all fallen on around 470. So before you start, I would advise you calculate your CRS score, or better yet, I would advise you estimate your CRS score, so that when you score anything maybe close to 470 or even above, you know that yes, this is going to be a walk in the park for you. But if you don't come close to 470, let's say you score 3 something, you know that okay, at this point there's no point wasting time and going further. You just look for another immigration program if you really want to be in Canada within a year's time. So calculating your CRS score, you can just go on Google. And then just type calculate CRS score. Okay, I think I've done this a couple of times, that's why it's bringing out my search history. You can use this cic.gac.ca brings out a page that looks like this. Of course, you can read all what's there, but I've read it a million times, so I don't think there's any point for me to read it again, but you can always read it. But basically, what you need to know is that it's going to be based on skill, education, language ability, work experience, and a few other factors. So it's going to ask you a few questions to calculate. Of course, we're estimating your CRS score in this case. So it's going to ask you a few questions. Here's question 1. What's your marital status? So for me, I'm going to pick single, never married. How old are you? Remember, this question you are supposed to answer with your current age, not how old you'll be when the process is finished. What they want to know is how old you are as at when you're entering your express entry profile. So let's say right now I am, I don't know, maybe 27, 26 years of age. Let's go with 26. Remember, these are all arbitrary answers. So the next question in this case, what's your level of education? Let's assume I am a master's holder. Have you earned a Canadian degree or certificate? Now, because I know that most of my audience will be from Nigeria, I'm going to go with no. Because yes, I know I haven't earned a Canadian degree. Are your test results less than 2 years old? Remember, this is for the language. Canadian official languages are English and French. So you need to submit a language test result that is less than 2 years old, which means whatever language test you must have done, the result you must have been less than 2 years ago. If it is over 2 years, if your result is over 2 years, it means you have to take another test. So for now, are your test results less than 2 years old? I'm going to go with yes. Which language test did you take? I know a lot of people do IELTS, so let's go with IELTS. Now enter your test score. Remember, we're estimating. I'm assuming you haven't done your IELTS test yet, so I'm going to estimate and go for the really high scores. So you know if I'll be lucky to get in, or if I'll be able to get in or not. So I'll go for the highest scores in all categories. Remember, we're just estimating. And why I'm going for the highest score is they're achievable, and that's the score you should aim for. So now let's to the next question. Do you have other language test results? I'm going to go with not applicable because I don't speak French, and I didn't do other language tests. So now the next one is work experience. Remember, this first work experience, in the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience in Canada do you have? If you've worked in Canada before, remember, it must be skill type 0, A or B. If you've worked in Canada before, you go ahead and pick yes. I'm going to go ahead and pick no because a lot of you, my viewers, would likely have no as the answer. So I'm going to go with none or less than a year. In the last 10 years, how many total years of foreign skilled work experience do you have? Remember, you are not in Canada, which means whatever work experience you have is going to be counted as foreign work experience. You're in Nigeria, you're working in Nigeria, it counts as foreign work experience. Foreign in this case is not for you now, it's for the Canadian body. So which means in Nigeria, whatever work you do is going to be counted as foreign work experience. So I'm going to go with 3 years or more. Do you have a certificate of qualification from a Canadian province, territory, or federal body? In this case, I'm going to go with no. Additional points. Do you have a valid job offer? I'm going to go with no, because I'm assuming a lot of you would have no as your answer. Do you have a nomination certificate from a province or territory? Do you have you or your spouse or common law partner, if they are going to come to Canada with you, have a brother or sister living in Canada, you have someone living in Canada? I'm going to assume that a lot of my followers don't have family members in Canada, so I'll go with no. And then it's going to bring this button here, calculate your score. When you click on it, it gives you a breakdown of the points you've earned so far and what your result is. In this case, because of the answers I picked, it's giving me a grand total of 481 points. Like I said earlier, the cutoff currently hovers around 470, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I think the last draw was 473 if I'm not mistaken. So it's giving me 481, which means if I go ahead with this program, it's going to be almost very easy for me. That's a walk in the park. So now I've estimated the 481. All I have to do now is take my ALTS exam and make sure I hit these numbers, or at least something very close, so I don't fall far off this 481. So now we're going back to our material. When you calculate that, basically what you're seeing here is a breakdown of what I just explained on the other page, how the points are calculated and what points you get for each. Remember, you're going to be getting this material. I'm going to be dropping the link down below. So now let's move on to the next step. Yes, this is the additional factors as I explained earlier. So we're going to scroll past it. So now the next step is to get your ECA done. That's the Education Credential Assessment. Now there are various bodies offering this service. Here are some examples. The CES, that is the Comparative Education Service. There's the International Credential Assessment Service of Canada. There's the World Education Service, which is one of the most popular ones, also known as WES. There's the International Qualifications Assessment Service, ICAS. This is a very good body to use if you're a lawyer. Then there's the International Credential Evaluation Service. There's the Medical Council of Canada. From the name, you already know the people that should focus on this. Those are the medical practitioners, the doctors, the surgeons, basically those in medical practice. Then there's this Pharmacy Examining Board of Canada. Needless to tell you what they do. They evaluate the degrees of pharmacists from outside of Canada. To carry out your ECA, let's assume you are an engineer by profession, for instance. Here's how to get your ECA done. So when you enter wes.org, we're going to talk about the World Education Service, that is also known as WES, and how you can get your credential evaluation done by them. So remember, the site is wes.org. So when you log on to wes.org, the first thing you do is to change this to Canada. Remember, our aim is Canada and not US. You can either start by signing in, by creating an account, or you can just go straight to the credential evaluation for immigration, ECA. Click on that. You can read all this, but I've read this 1,000 times, so there's no point. You can always read it at your own time. So you click on apply for WES ECA. We're sending this to the IRCC, so I'm going to select this ECA application for IRCC. Click on it. Then of course, as expected, you're going to have to create an account. So here I'm going to give arbitrary names, say a fake identity. So let's go on. Let's say John Doe. In this case, John. Your middle name, let's say Doe. Your last name, let's see. Let me use my name, Bene. I'm going to ask for date of birth rather. Let's say January 1st. Let's say 1994. I think, yes, let's say 1994. You have a WES reference number. At this point you don't, so you're going to check no. You're going to enter your email address. Let's say CJ. I'm going to enter one of my emails. I need to ask you to re-enter it. Ask you to re-enter. I'm going to create a password. I'm going to re-enter the password. Okay, seems to have an issue with the first password I entered. So password requirements 8 to 16 characters, at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and one special character. So let's go. Entered one. I'm going to re-enter the same password. So select a security question. It's a mother's maiden name, pet's name, favorite book, whichever one you like. I'm going to go with where were you born? I don't think I'll ever forget that. Let's go with Lagos. Born in Lagos. Do you want to subscribe to the Ways newsletter and all? You can decide to check, you can decide not to. Remember, this is a dummy account, so I wouldn't bother checking. So I'll create an account. So yes, these are the details I filled earlier. So now it's going to ask me more questions. So yes, for gender I'm going to go with male. A mailing address, select country. Now this, you need to select your current address because that is where they are going to send the results, the physical documents, the result of the WES evaluation you're about to do. So I'm going to go with, let's say, Nigeria. Street PO box. Let's say I'll go with 1. City. Let's say I'll go with Ikeja. State, obviously Lagos State. Zip code, you can decide to check what your zip code is online. I'll just go with 100001. Okay, I think it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3. Let's go with that code. Let me know if it's correct. Telephone, of course, it has to be other. You're not in the US, you're not in Canada. So I'm going to go with 234. Remember to add 234 in front of your number. So basically, I'm going to go ahead, click on next. Asking, no, don't save, not yet. So what credentials have you earned? So this is where you add credentials. Country of education, Nigeria. Institution type, I'm assuming you have either a BSc or a master's or whatever. If you're the type that went to Polytechnic, click on this. If you went to training colleges or teaching colleges, College of Nursing or Midwifery, basically choose that which is applicable to you. So I'm going to go with university education. If you had direct entry, it simply means you're going to also need to get the transcript of the school where you schooled before you got direct entry into a university, but in this case it doesn't apply to me, so I'm going to move ahead. Let's say name of institution. Let's say you went to, let's say, University of Lagos. Okay, this is the University of Lagos. You select name of diploma or certificate. I'm going to go with bachelor's degree. Let's do Bachelor of Science. That's BSc. The first given name as it appears on the credential. Now this is important because some people might have gotten married after getting this certificate. Remember, in this instance, you're not to give your actual current name, you have to give the name as it appears on your credential. So I'm assuming at that time, if you're a lady, you're bearing your father's or your parents' surname. and now you're married, you've taken up another name, you're not to give your current husband's name or your current family's name. You have to give the name as it appears on your credential. So the first name, let's say in this case, okay, I'm going with John. Second name, okay, I said Doe, that was what I used. And then last name I did Mene. Field of study, in this case I'm going to go with, let's say geology. What year was he awarded? I'm going to go with, say, 2015. Years attended, that simply means when did you gain admission and when did you graduate. So that's it. Save. This is how it appears. If you have another degree, let's say a different degree, click here, add another credential, but in this case it doesn't apply to me, so I'll click on next. Okay, so now enter the recipients. Who would you like to send to? In this case, it's going to automatically bring the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, that is the IRCC, formerly known as CIC. Now, if you intend to send this WES result to any province or to any community, you can click on Add Recipients. Okay, in this case, let's assume I'm interested in the Ontario Provincial Nominee Program, so I'm going to come here and search for Ontario. Okay, so this is it, the OINP, the Ontario Immigration Nominee Program. This is the PNP, the body in charge of the Ontario Provincial Nominee Program. So you click on it, basically just add recipients, add this recipient, and it has added a second body that would receive this result. You may only add institutions from our pre-approved list. Each institution you add will result in an additional fee of $30 plus shipping and handling. Remember, the $30 is not for shipping and handling. The shipping and handling fee is still going to come later, but basically for them to send it to the extra body, it's going to cost $30. So if you're sending to, say, 2 extra bodies, that's $30 times 2. If you're sending to 3 extra bodies, you get the logic. So I'm going to come here and click next. So this is what it is. Basic evaluation fee by WES is going to cost you $20, and that is what you have here. This is what it is. This is what the payment is for. So I'll come here and click on next. Now by default, this is going to be on standard mail, basically the shipper. But I don't like the standard mail because 1, it takes long, 2, there's no tracking involved, so it kind of leaves you hoping that things will go well. I like a little bit more control in things I do, so I'm going to go with the International Courier Service. Costs more, but I'll be able to track my documents and be sure of where I am at every particular point in time. So basically what this means is it's going to cost me more money, but it's going to be shipped a lot faster, and I'll be able to track it to know where I am in the application process. So these are the bodies it will be sending it to. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. So this is it. Bachelor of Science, University of Lagos. What I need to send now is my actual degree, the certificate itself, and then the academic transcript. Remember, you're not to send the academic transcript yourself. Your school, your institution where you graduated from should do this for you. You might decide to send a degree yourself, but even if you send the degree yourself, WES would still write your school to confirm that the document you sent is authentic. But as for the transcript, it's best you get your school to actually send it. Whatever school you attended, I'm sure there are people who have done this before you, and most schools already have an existing process well laid out, so when you come it's not a big deal. You go on and then you click next. So basically this is them showing you the details, the information, the data you provided earlier, so you can get a quick browse through and be sure that there are no errors. If everything is okay by you, check these 4 boxes. You got an additional $30 charge for the extra body you asked them to send it to. Then there's a standard delivery fee for the extra delivery of this to the second body. So everything sums up to $345. Remember, it's Canadian dollars, not US dollar. Canadian dollar, not US dollar. Canadian dollars converted to Nigerian currency is a little bit less, but not a little bit, significantly less than the US dollar, but still a lot of money. So we're going to go ahead and click next. You read through this, be sure every information here is correct. Please don't be in a hurry. Read everything word for word. If it's okay, check the box here and click on confirm. Your selection below will determine your eligibility to pay harmonized sales tax. Harmonized sales tax is a mandatory tax in Canada that is a combination of the federal goods and service tax. In this case, you're obviously not a resident, so don't worry, this tax doesn't apply to you. You click on continue and your $345 remains $345. So how do you want to pay? You're in Nigeria, so it makes sense actually to just go for credit card. That's basically the only option here that makes sense. Click on submit. When you click on submit, you enter your card details, make your payment of $345 Canadian dollars, and submit payment. In this case, remember it's a dummy account, so I don't need it, so I wouldn't be going ahead with it. But this is just for tutorial purpose. Now that we're done with that, I'm going to go ahead and wait. Remember, WES takes 7 weeks after confirmation, which means after you send your certificate, WES is going to write your school to confirm that the document or the certificate you sent is authentic. And after your school responds to confirm that yes, that is an authentic certificate, your 7 weeks would start counting. So it takes about 7 weeks or 35 business days, which is pretty much 7 weeks, to complete the evaluation. And when it's done, they'll send you your WES reports. So here's what your WES report would look like. An example of what the results would look like. So it is these documents that they would also send to the IRCC and to the bodies, maybe the provincial bodies of whatever province you must have selected, and that's about the ECA. So now we're going to move on to the next step, which is taking your language test. So as I said earlier, Canada has 2 official languages, English and French. So you're Nigerian, so I'm going to assume you're going to focus on English. So here are some of the approved test bodies. So here are the approved English tests, the IELTS and the CELPIP. Now, IELTS is very popular for a few reasons stated here in this material, but costs about 75,000 naira to take one test. So if you're going to do the IELTS, better prepare for it. So basically, this is what the IELTS is going to be on. They're going to test you on your speaking ability, your listening ability, your reading and your writing. It's simple and it's hard at the same time. It depends on how you prepare for it. So this is what the breakdown of the CLB. There is the Canadian language benchmark. This is the breakdown of how it's calculated. So whatever you get here, you impute it into your CRS calculation, and that will be your actual result. And if you don't do well enough, it means you have to restudy and retake the exam, and eventually, let's assume you get it right, the result is valid for 2 years. Hence the question that was asked earlier, is your result less than 2 years old? If your result is older than 2 years old, it means you have to take another IELTS. So you do your IELTS. Here's how to register. IELTS is organized by the British Council. So what you have to do is, you can Google it, you can go straight to their site, but let's just say Google British Council. Okay, still in my search history. So you can click on the first search results, test, dates, fees, and location. So what you're going to do is to book your tests. So IELTS, there's the academic and the general training, paper-based, there's the computer-based delivered test. Let's focus on the paper-based for now. Remember, it's a 75,000 naira, so you have to be ready. So all you're doing now is you're booking exam dates to get yourself a seat at the exam hall before you make payments. So this is what the booking page looks like. So there's IELTS academic and there's IELTS the general one. The academic ones are basically for people who want to continue with their education. Perhaps they're sending the IELTS result to a school, maybe for university education or for postgraduate purposes. But in this case, you are going for immigration, so what you would go for is the general IELTS. Good thing is the general IELTS is slightly easier than the academic IELTS. But let's go on. So you're going to choose your country. In this case, it's going to be Nigeria. So you select Nigeria. That's the location. Do you need special arrangements on test dates? I really don't know why anyone would need special arrangements, but if you do, you click on yes. But in this case, no, we don't need special arrangements. When do you want this test done? Do you want it in April? Do you want it in May? Do you want it in June? I'm going to go ahead and pick May. I'm going to choose the month, so I'm going to go ahead and pick May. Then the next thing is to choose location. Now in this case, because I'm going to go ahead and choose Lagos, but what part of Lagos? Is it Ikorodu? Is it Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland? Just pick whatever works for you, whatever is convenient. I'm going to pick Lagos Mainland. I'm going to pick British Council as the option that is available for Lagos Mainland. Search for tests. So here I'm going to, these are the available dates. These slightly highlighted dates. These ones deemed out are dates that are not available. So here I'm going to go with, let's say, May 13th. I'm going to click on this. It's going to ask me what time would I want the test. What time would I want to sit for? Do I want the 9 a.m. or the 1 p.m.? I'm going to go with 9 a.m. I'm going to choose this for the test. So here's what you need to know. This test is for listening, reading, and writing. Here's the time schedule: 8 a.m. arrival time, 9 a.m. test start, 11:45 test end. Note: the venue itself will be confirmed 5 days before the written test date. You can change location here whenever you feel like. If you feel before the venue is confirmed, remember the venue will be confirmed 5 days before the test is done. And the test is for 3 out. This date and this venue is for 3 out of the 4 tests. It's for listening, reading, and writing. Speaking will be done at a later day and at a later time. So those you want for listening, reading, and writing has been done. Now the date is not confirmed until you complete the booking, which means until you make the payments. So this is the address. This location will not be confirmed until you complete the booking. You will receive a confirmation with full location 5 working days before your test. So I'm going to go ahead and click choose speaking test. This is where you book test for speaking. This is the options it's giving me. As you can see, I can't select any other day here. The option here is 13th. Remember, I picked 9 a.m. in the past one, so it's not going to give me 9 a.m. option here because it's assumed I'm supposed to be taking the other test. So I'm going to go with, say, 1 p.m. in this case. And then it's going to ask, do I have an account already? No. I'm going to create an account. So you need to enter your details, your name, your surname, your date of birth, your email, password, create a password, marketing preference. Do you want to receive marketing updates? Do you want to receive emails from them, newsletters and the likes? Then you go ahead and check this box and then create an account. So when you click on this register, it's going to take you straight to a payment portal where you'll be asked to make payments. In this case, I am not about to write IELTS, so I am not going to do that. But I guess you understand the process, similar to that of the ECA for those who have seen the ECA video. That's all you need to know about IELTS. When you're done with the IELTS, your results is valid for 2 years. So make sure you don't take the IELTS until you're ready to start the application process. Whatever the application process is going to entail, you should be done within 2 years. I don't see what you're doing in 2 years, but just in case, make sure all is done within 2 years. After that, the next step is to get into the express entry pool. This is pretty much creating an express entry profile. So you're going to have to use the Come to Canada tool. Click on the Come to Canada tool. Again, it's easy to go from the material provided. The links are all embedded, but you can always search for it yourself on the internet. So this is the Canadian body now trying to assess your eligibility. So you're going to click on check your eligibility. It's going to ask you the same questions you were asked when we talked about estimating your CRS score. So it's going to ask you the same questions, exact same questions, maybe not in the same format you saw it before, but the questions are the same. So if you don't know yet, choose the province or territory you are most interested in. In this case, let's say I'm interested in Ontario, for instance. I'll click on Ontario and I'll click next. The next question, Canada's official language, French. You need to submit a language test result for all programs under express entry. Click on it. Yes, you took the IELTS. You click on IELTS and you click next. What date did you take this test? Okay, must be less or equal to current date, which means you're telling them you've taken the test. So it means the result should be with you now. So I'm going to go with March. We say March 13th, and I'm going next. So now it's asking you for the result of your test. Let's assume you got 8.5 here. Let's assume you got 8.5 here as well. Let's assume you got 8.5 here as well. Let's assume you got 8.5 here as well. Let's click on next. You have another language result. In this case, I don't have, so I'm going to pick none and move on. If you have other test results, you can always select from the options here and then input your test results, but in this case I don't have any, so I choose none and then click on next. Then in the last 3 years, how many years of skilled work experience do you have in Canada? In this case, remember, in Canada, in this case you don't have any Canadian work experience, so I'm going to go with none. Then next question, if you do not have any Canadian work experience during this period, please choose none of the above. Like I said, it doesn't apply to you, so you're going to choose none of the above. Then you click next. Now it's going to ask you about foreign work experience, any work experience at all you have. So in the last 10 years, how many years of work experience do you have? In this case, I'm going to go with, let's say, 2 to 3. If you are not sure of your NOC job code, you can find your job code on the NOC page. I'm going to go with 2 or more years. Yes, let's go on with that. Remember to read everything here. I have read this multiple times. That is why I'm not bothering to read it word for word again. Next question. Do you have a certificate of qualification from a Canadian province or territory in your skilled trade? In this case, my answer is no. It's not applicable, so I'll go with no. Then you click on next. How much money in Canadian dollars will you bring to Canada? Be careful when selecting this. Remember, there's this a minimum settlement fund required. I know we've not gotten to that yet, but what you need to know is anything less than 12,960 Canadian dollars will not be acceptable. So I'm going to go with this option here. How many family members do you have? 12,960 is acceptable for just one person. For now, let's just say I'm going alone. So I'm going to choose one. I'm going to click next. Do you have a valid job offer? In this case, I'm going to say no. I'm going to go on and click next. Now it's asking for my date of birth. I'm going to, I think the last when we created that account, I chose 94 if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 1994. Okay, select month. I chose January 1st. Now it's asking for my level of education. If you did not earn a Canadian degree, diploma, certificate, you may need to have a foreign education, blah blah blah. That was the whole essence of what we did with the World Education Service WES. And then you go ahead and pick. Okay, you can choose bachelor's, you can choose 2 or more certificates for the HND holders. You can pick master's degree if it's applicable to you. You can pick the PhD. In this case, I'm going to go with, let's say, master's degree, and I'm going to click next. Now check all that apply. I have studied full-time in Canada for 2 or more years. No, it doesn't apply to you, to me. So I'm assuming it doesn't apply to a lot of you watching this. So I'm going to skip that. I have at least 2 years full-time work experience in Canada. No. I have a relative in Canada who is 18 years or older. No. None of the above. So this applies to most of my viewers. So I'm going to choose that and click on next. What is your marital status? In this case, I'm going to pick never married, which is single. Then I'll click on next. To apply online, you need this personal reference code. So it means I am eligible. This is it. Based on your answers, you appear to be eligible for the express entry. Being eligible doesn't mean you're going to get the permanent residence. It just means you're one step closer. Now this is the reference code. This is the reference code you will use when creating the express entry profile. In this case, you can exit questionnaire. Yes, continue. So after exiting, you come here and click on sign in or create an account to apply online. You click on this, sign in with your GC key, user ID and password. Or option 2, sign in with your online Canadian banking information if you have an existing account with one of our partners. In this case, this one doesn't apply to most of you, so I'm going to go ahead and click on sign in with GC key. And then you go ahead, click on sign up in this case. Because we're assuming you don't have an account yet, so we're going to click on sign up. Accept their terms of service. Create your username, then Basically, it's going to ask you a few questions and then your account is created. That means you're already in the pool. I'm not going to go ahead with this because I am not actually applying. This is just for tutorial purpose for the sake of this video. So that's that about getting into the express entry pool. That's all you need to know. So in this material, you see different screenshots of what different pages actually look like and what you should do there. Remember, there's a link to these documents down below. Feel free to download. After that, the next step is receiving an ITA, which is an invitation to apply. This simply means your express entry account opening was successful and you are eligible for the express entry program. So now they are actually inviting you to make an official application. All you've been doing since can be classified as pre-application. Now they're inviting you to make an official application. So what is an invitation to apply? You can read through in details. Scroll through. An ITA is valid for only 60 days. That's 2 months. So this is what an ITA looks like. This is what an ITA looks like. So now, when you receive an ITA, there are 3 possible scenarios. The first is you can accept the ITA. In this case, you'll be asked to submit a complete application for permanent residence within 60 calendar days of the ITA issue date. It is always advisable not to wait till the last day, as you may be negatively impacted due to unforeseen circumstances, e.g. technical issues, network and the likes. The second scenario is that you decline the ITA for whatever reasons best known to you. You have the option of declining that invitation to apply. If you choose to decline the invitation to apply for whatever reasons best known to you, your profile will be moved back to the express entry pool and will remain active to receive future invites. Now, the third option, if you do not respond, which means if you do not accept or you do not decline, your ITA will expire and your express entry profile will no longer be active. It means you would need to create a new profile from scratch if you intend to be included in future draws. Okay, now let's run through the document checklist. Every single document you would need to submit when you receive your ITA. So what you need to know is that you have 60 days to respond to your ITA, to gather all documents and submit. 60 calendar days. So that means whatever documents you would have to submit, you have to get them ready either before or during 60 days after you get your ITA. So that means while waiting for your ITA, you should start gathering some documents like police reports, for instance. Now, police reports could take a few weeks, maybe days, maybe months to get, especially if you are a frequent traveler, especially if you are the type that have lived in different cities or different countries in the last 10 years. You need a police report from every country you have lived in for more than 6 months. So that means if you are the type that have lived in, say, 2 or 3 different countries and you stayed longer than 6 months in those countries, you need a police report from those countries as well. That means if you're waiting for your ITA, you should start getting your police reports from those countries ready. So what do you need to do? Gather them, get these documents in place, convert them to PDF and make sure they are less than 4 megabytes. There's a tool here that you can use to convert to PDF, a small PDF tool. Just click on the link here and it will take you straight to the page where you convert your documents. Now, while this documents checklist is going to be the ideal checklist for a lot of people. The first document, you need to upload a passport. Now, of course, this is obvious. You know that you need a passport. And when I say passport, I'm not talking about a passport photograph. I'm talking about your international passport, which means you should make sure your passport is valid and you still have at least 12 months left for the expiry date on your passport. If you have travel history, you would have to scan the pages that have been stamped, that have visa stamps on them. If you don't have any travel history, all you have to do is scan the page that has your bio data on it, and that would work just fine. So, who has to upload this document? That is the passport. You, the main applicant, your spouse, if they are coming with you, and your children or every dependent coming with you. Are you married? What documents do you have to upload? If you're married, you need to provide your marriage certificate. You need to provide your marriage certificate. Who has to upload this document? It is you, the main applicant. Even if your wife or kids are coming with you, it is just you, the main applicant, that has to submit marriage certificate. Are you in common law union? So if that is the case with you, you just have to prove that yes, you are qualified to be considered a common law couple. So what and what can you use to show proof? You can use your rent or lease agreement. If you have joint bank statements, a utility invoice that bears the name of both of you. If you have a joint bank statement, good. Who has to upload these documents? You, the main applicant. Are you divorced? If you are divorced, you need to show proof that you are divorced. So that means you need to upload either a copy of the divorce order or a certificate of divorce. You need to upload this, you, the main applicant, and or your spouse. It's not really important. It's not compulsory your spouse uploads as well. Are you widowed? Is your spouse dead? If you're a widow, you will need a copy of the death certificate or any other relevant legal documents related to the death of your late spouse. Who has to upload this? Of course, if your spouse is dead. It is only you, the main applicant, that will be able to upload this. You have dependents, children. If you have kids that will be coming with you, your children, either by birth or by adoption, here's what you have to upload. You need to upload the birth certificate of the child and or any other document that shows that you are the parent, and you need a letter of explanation in case the country of birth does not issue certificates. I don't know what country that would be, but Nigeria issues certificate of birth. Who has to upload the documents? Pretty much you, the main applicant. Do you have adopted children? If this is the case, you would have to provide every document that is relevant to show proof that you are legally the guardian of such kid or such minor. Every legal document that was used during the adoption process, you would have to upload a copy. Of course, you need a digital passport. And there are specifications. You don't just upload any passport snapped by the roadside. There are some places, some big studios per se, where they understand the specifications, but just in case, click on this IRCC specifications and it will take you straight. As a matter of fact, let's go there. And this is what your passport photograph should look like. Then at the back of the passport, write name, date of birth, date, name and address of photography studio. Now take your time and read through this. This is the specification of the passport that is needed. Who has to upload these documents? You, the main applicant, your spouse and partner, if they are accompanying or not, and of course your children, even if they are not going with you. Next document. The next document is a medical exam. You need to carry out medical tests to be sure that you're not ill, you're healthy enough to come to Canada, and you don't just go to just about any doctor. They have a list of approved physicians that carry out this test for the IRCC. So you can click on this link here to see the hospitals. Let's just click on it. So to find a list of physicians approved in your location, come here, enter your region or your country. In this case, Nigeria. So these are the approved physicians for Nigeria. I think there are about 4 in Lagos and 1 in Abuja. So if you're going to do a medical exam, it has to come from one of these medical centers. Any other medical reports from anywhere else would be rejected. So if for any reason the medical exam could not be done, you need to send a letter of explanation clarifying why it wasn't done. The reason has to be good enough. I don't see why you should do that anyway. You should book an appointment early enough. That is why you have to do these things while waiting for the ITA, because when it comes, 60 days sounds like a lot, but believe me, it's not really a lot, considering some of these things actually take time. So everybody in your family has to do this medical report. So back to the police certificate. Like I said earlier, you have to retrace your steps from when you were 18 years and calculate the number of days spent in specific countries. If you spend a total of 6 months consecutively in a particular country, it means you need a police certificate from that country. So want to know about the police certificate, click on this link and it takes you straight. So for Nigeria, how to get a police certificate? Let's select Nigeria here again. So if you live in Nigeria, you should apply in person to the Central Criminal Registry. You must bring your valid passport, 2 passport size photograph and applicable fees. Central Criminal Registry for CID Annex is in Alagbon, Ikoyi. Don't go to a police station nearby and ask for a police report. It would not be accepted. More reasons why I said you have to get these things done before that 60 days. 60 days might not be enough time for you to run around, especially if you live outside Lagos. I can't imagine someone coming from a state in the north or in maybe east, southeast or south. You have to look for a way to fit all this into that 60 days. Sometimes it might not work, so you just have to find a way to start putting these documents together before you get your ITA, so that when you get your ITA, you already have most of the documents you need ready. You just have to go through them and then submit. So this is all you need to know about the police certificate. Now the next thing is settlement funds. It's just an amount you need to have in your account to show that you'll be able to take care of yourself when you come to Canada. So you don't come here and become a nuisance. Like you don't live in streets, you don't turn to a life of. You should be able to take care of yourself for the first couple of months or for the first few months of arriving, pending when you get a job. However, if you already have a job offer, a valid job offer, you do not need to raise all of these settlement funds. Now, how much is this settlement fund? You click here to see the actual amount. And this is the settlement funds. If you're going alone, you need 12,960 Canadian dollars. Remember, you're not giving this money to anyone. It is just money for you to have and show that you'd be able to take care of yourself when you arrive Canada. Are you going with your spouse? Are you going to be just a family of 2? You you need 16,135 Canadian dollars. For every extra family member going with you, you'd have to add 3,492 Canadian dollars. While putting this money together, you need to show history of this money. How did you earn it? Because you'll be asked to send a bank statement for at least 6 months before the application period. So there needs to be some form of growth in the funds. So it means either you have all the funds lying in your account 6 months before, and this money must be in actual liquid cash or readily liquefiable assets, which means if you own houses, real estate, cars, jewelries, and you intend to sell them, they don't count. You have to either sell them first and have the money as cash. Owning real estate, for example, cannot be counted as proof of having the required funds. If you sell any of your assets, that is cars, home, jewelry, etc., before receiving an ITA, you must ensure you have proper documentation proving sale. You will need to upload a sale document with a letter of explanation justifying the amount of money and why it entered your account. The whole idea is they are trying to avoid people coming or people faking account balance just to get the PR. They don't want situations where you get a loan, leave it in your account, and immediately you arrive Canada, you have to pay back the money, and that leaves you stranded again. Are you getting a gift from someone? You need a gift deed. Okay, just what I said. The funds cannot be borrowed. If there's a big inflow of funds to your account, let's say the exact minimum amount required, this will constitute a red flag for the immigration officer analyzing your case. If this happens, you need to get a notarized gift deed from the person who gave you the money and write a letter of explanation to clarify the situation. Anything short of that, your application will be rejected. If you have the money in your account for more than 6 months, there should be no problem, as IRCC does not request the average balance for more than 6 months. Understand what I'm saying? If you already have the minimum required settlement funds in your account for a period of more than 6 months before the ITA, then you don't have an issue. So if you are going to sell whatever you want to sell, or you want to borrow whatever you want to borrow it 6 months before the ITA gets to you. Because when it gets to you, any other huge inflow of money would have to be explained. They don't want you borrowing money just to show them. It has to be your own money. Now, about your work experience, whatever you declare as work experience has to be paid work experience. No volunteer work, no apprenticeship, no free work. No volunteer work, no apprenticeship, just salaried work that you received remuneration for. Now, you need to upload a reference letter from your employer, and this has to be in a company letterhead. It has to include your job duties during the employment, the number of hours you worked per week. And if you're self-employed, you need to upload evidence that you own your business and proof of income from clients in the form of any document explaining the service provided and payment details. So for those of you who are self-employed, you need to upload evidence of your own business and proof of income from clients. It's not a must that you have to work for someone or be under paid employment. You can also own your own business and show proof that you own the business and that you receive payments from clients. If you have declared Canadian work experience, this is just for you, but I don't think most of my readers need this. So click on this to know about the reference letter and why it is very important. Now, about the valid job offer. If you have a valid job offer from a Canadian employer, you must upload the letter of employment. And this letter of employment must include the letterhead and contact information of the company, the name, title, and signature of your future immediate superior or HR officer. This letter must also include start date, occupation title, duties, number of work hours per week, annual salary, and benefits. The letter must clarify that the job is on continuous and full-time basis for at least 1 year. after issuance of the PR visa. You must also specify that you are holding the said job currently. If your employer has a positive LMIA, then you need to upload the LMIA number in your express entry application. I'm assuming a lot of you won't have a valid job offer for now, or if you do, click here to learn more about valid job offers. You have a relative in Canada. This gives, I think, an extra 15 points in the CRS calculation. So if you or your spouse have a direct relative living in Canada, not just living, who is either a citizen or a permanent resident, then you need to show proof of your family member's Canadian citizenship or permanent residence. And this could include a copy of your passport, birth certificate, permanent residence card, whatever is applicable. You'd also need to prove that your family member lives in Canada. And how do you prove this? They can get you a copy of their mortgage documents, their lease documents, utility bills, or just anything to show that they are actually living in Canada and their address is actually a very recent address. Whatever document you show should not be backdated beyond 6 months. If any of the documents you are submitting is not in English or French, then you need to get it translated. For instance, if you got a degree outside an English or French speaking country and your document is written in, let's say, Spanish, for instance, you would have to get it translated. Okay, so that's that about document checklist. So the next chapter is from AOR to PPR. Now the processing fee is $550 per person. That is for you. And if you have dependent children coming with you, you pay $150 per child, an extra $150 per child. So you have to pay $550, and if you're going with your spouse, you pay another $550. And if you're going with children, minors, you pay $150 per child. IRCC won't refund the processing fee once they have begun processing your application. This is a processing fee. Once they start processing your application, it doesn't matter if your application is successful or not, this payment is not refundable. The second payment you'd have to make is the right of permanent residence fee. This right of permanent residence fee is $490 per person. Now, if you are going with minors, kids, you don't have to pay for them, but you pay $490 Canadian dollars for every adult. That means if you are going with your spouse, it will be $490 times 2. Now this fee is refundable. You can decide to delay this payment till your application is approved, or you can decide to pay upfront. But know that if you pay upfront and your application is declined or you withdraw your application, you would get a refund. The next one is biometrics fee. If you're from a country that requires your biometric data, you and your family members, except the children under the age of 14, must provide biometric data. For an individual applicant, the cost is $85, and for a family applying jointly, the fee is $170. This simply means for an individual you pay $85. If you're going with your spouse, it is $170. If you're going with your spouse and kids, it is $170. Now, proof of funds. We already talked about this. Proof of fund is not needed if you have a valid job offer. However, if you don't have a valid job offer, as a single individual looking to relocate to Canada, you would need to have at least $12,669 in your account. This money is not going to be paid to anyone. It's not a payment for anything. You just need to have it to show that you'll be able to take care of yourself when you arrive Canada. This money should take you for a few months, depending when you get an actual job. For every extra person that is going with you, you add an additional $3,414. Now, this proof of fund has to be either cash or easily liquefiable assets. And what are these easily liquefiable assets. We're talking stocks, we're talking bonds, we're talking treasury bills. Please and please, jewelry, cars, houses, real estate, and all that do not count. You either sell them and convert them to cash, or you remove them completely from your calculations. But know this, if you're going to sell them, it is better or it is easier to sell 6 months before the ITA, which means you should get the cash ready when you are just starting the application process. That way you won't have to explain the source of the funds. But if you wait till your application is ready or is approved or almost approved, if you wait till you get your ITA and you decide to sell one of these things, you would have to send a letter of explanation explaining how you got such huge amount of money into your account at once. If you sold a car, you need to show proof of previous ownership, proof of sale. If you sold a landed property, you have to do the same. Show proof of previous ownership and proof of sale. And if you're getting a gift, you need to get a notarized gift deed from the person that is going to give such gifts. And it would be better if the gift is coming from a family member, a direct family member. So for more information on that, you can go through these documents in details. Remember, everything you've seen here is in Canadian dollars. So after submitting your application online, that is the electronic application for permanent residence, also known as EAPR, you will receive an acknowledgement of receipt, which is the AOR. And this acknowledgement serves as confirmation that your application for permanent residence in Canada was received by the IRCC, and they have created a file with your application number, and this date marks the beginning of your 6 months processing time. The 6 months waiting time is when the IRCC will perform a thorough check on you as a person. Every document you submitted will be scrutinized, and if for any reason you have misrepresented yourself, believe me, they will find out. When they finish all checks, you would get a confirmation of permanent residence and a request to submit your actual passport for stamp. Your stamp would have a migrant's visa on it. Welcome to Canada. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or drop your questions in the comment section below. I'll read through and I'll answer as much as I can. Cheers.